course, as a chemist, naturally, magaling ka din magluto or mag-bake. Kasi nga, it's all about mixing things na ginagawa mo naman buong araw. So, we're having bakery, salted caramel with pecans, and dried apricots. Voila!
My name is Ian. I love to travel, meet new people, and learn new things. Come and join me in this new adventure. Walk with me, and hopefully, through my eyes, you find your Eureka Moment.
Hi, I'm Joshua Torres, and I'm currently a postdoc at the Department of Biomedical Sciences at the University of Copenhagen in Denmark.
Josh, thank you for taking the time para dito sa interview, and taga saan ka nga ulit?
So pinanganak ako sa Davao City and doon na rin ako lumaki. So basically doon ako nag-elementary, doon din ako nag-high school. Yung college, pumunta ako ng Manila kasi pumunta ako sa UP Diliman.
Yeah.
And then that's how the journey started basically.
Inclined ka na ba talaga sa science noon or meron bang naging point kung saan naging interesado ka sa science?
So I remember nung elementary ako, I think hindi sa pagmamayabang. Medyo may kagalingan talaga sa science. Alam, yun yung gusto kong subject. I gusto ko din ng reading. That's hindi masyado sa math. Pero yung science, gusto ko siya kasi paiba-iba siya every year.
Yeah.
Right? In the family, meron ding inclination sa science.
Yeah.
So yung lolo ko, he was the director of Bureau of Fisheries.
Oh, okay.
And so maraming may background ng science. I had this aunt, siya yung eldest ng father ko, my father's side. She's actually at that time when I was an elementary student, she was taking her PhD in neuroscience dun sa US.
Yeah.
And so meron akong parang idea in a way na merong ganitong science.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
may scientist kapag nag-aaral ka ng science.
Yeah. Oo, kasi hindi sa mga Filipino kasi parang hindi common na thinking ang maging scientist ka, di ba? Typically, gusto mo maging engineer.
Yeah.
Tsaka kung ano yung uso, and kung ano yung work na kung saan magdadala sa'yo abroad, like nursing, yung mga ganun, right?
Oo, especially nung high school ako kasi yun yung parang boom. Hindi naman boom. Yun yung popular at that time. Alam ko, nursing, engineering.
Yeah.
Sobrang sa probinsya, sa Davao, kung saan ako lumaki, masyadong into civil engineering, ECE, computer enginering, and then maging lawyer or maging doktor.
Yeah.
Pero wala talaga, like yung sinabi mo, wala masyadong general information kung paano maging scientist. Kasi tanda ko, in high school, wala akong kilalang Filipino scientist. Kung meron man, ito yung mga nasa libro na nakadrawing lang, na hindi mo talaga alam kung anong itsura nila. At saka hindi pa nga tayo sigurado, I think, kung sila ba talaga nag-imbento ng fluorescent bulb.
Exactly.
So yun yung pinakamalapit, I would say, na association or yung recognition ko about Filipino scientists. Pero kung nakakita ako ng isa, wala talaga. Other than yung kilala ko sa family.
Oo. Why did you decide na pumunta sa Manila?
Kung matatandaan ko, nag-apply ako sa 2 schools actually. So isa sa UP, tapos ang isa is sa Mindanao State University. Kasi merong marine biologist and fisheries program. Yung lolo ko nga. Tsaka yung tita ko and yung asawa niya. Neuroscience and biology ng fish kasi yung inaaral nila. So, alam kong may ganong program. Pero, ang in-applyan ko, matandaan ko, kasi gusto ko yung MSU, Marine Biology, natatandaan ko talaga, tsaka fisheries. Tapos, sa UP Diliman, ang in-applyan ko talaga ay chemical engineering.
Okay.
Kasi,
kasi yun yung uso.
Yun yung uso. Tapos, Hindi ako nag-take. Alam ko, hindi ko nilagay yung chemistry at all. Kasi nung matatandaan ko, sinabi ko sa isa sa mga kaibigan ko ba, sa high school, paano kung chemistry? Sabi na, anong gagawin ng magiging high school teacher? Parang yun ata yung nagiging sinasabi nila, na-associate na career if you take yung very basic science. Like physics, chemistry, biology. I think most students are planning to do medicine after that. So yun. So sabi ko, wala na akong plano maging high school teacher. Siguro chemical engineering. Kaya yun yung sinulat ko doon.
And then you got in, of course, sa UP Diliman.
Nakuha din ako dun sa marine biology na program.
Ang pinili mo ay?
At that time, medyo conflicted yung area kung nasaan yung Marawi.
Yeah, okay.
So, although taga Mindanao kami, familiar kami sa conflict, so parang minabuti na rin ng father ko. Sabi niya, doon ka mag-aral sa Manila kasi doon din naman nag-aral yung tatay ko sa Manila, tapos doon din nag-aral yung lolo ko. So, I remember, parang right after graduation ng high school, parang March ata yung graduation. Tapos pumunta na kami ng Manila 1 week after April. Excited na ako. Excited na makita ang UP. Siyempre, probinsyano, di ba? Makikita mo lang talaga yung ablation. Wala kang idea gaano kalawak or gaano ka laki yung UP.
Yeah. Ibang experience din yung pag galing ka ng province and then pupunta ka nga ng Manila. How was it for you during your first year? Malaking adjustment ba or?
Oo. Sobrang laki ng adjustment. Kasi matatandaan ko, hindi ako natanggap sa dormitory. Nung sa mga boarding house, medyo na-shock ako. Hindi naman kami mayaman sa probinsya. Pero sanay ka kasi sa probinsya na kayo-kayo lang. Maliit maliit yung bahay siguro. Maliit yung bahay, of course, pero alam mo yun, kayo lang talaga. Hindi communal yung living. So, medyo yun, parang culture shock. Tapos, yung angas ng mga taga Manila. At saka at that time, maalala ko, medyo may punto talaga yung Tagalog. So, alam talaga nila, Bisaya yan.
Pero marami rin naman pumupunta from Visayas and Mindanao. Di marami Cebuano, Ilonggo.
Yun yung mga nagiging unang kaibigan ko actually. And I was lucky that yung office mate nung father ko, yung best friend niya sa office niya, yung anak niya, his son, is actually also going to UP.
Okay.
At we are on the same program. In fact, blackmates kami ni Pierre Carillo. Hi, Pierre!
So chemical engineering yung...
Chemical engineering.
So nagtuloy ka din para sa chemical engineering?
Yes. So, eto nangyari sa amin. First year, culture shock. Na-culture shock ako sa Math 17. Akala ko ang galing ko na sa math. Hindi pala. So, anyways, first year, maalala ko, parang, oh no, parang mahirap pala dito. Parang ang lahat, ang tatalino, parang medyo nagiging insecure. So, maalala ko. Kasi yung si Pierre nga, yung blockmate ko, na kasabayan ko na pumunta ng Manila, is uuwi na siya. After a year, sabi niya, balik na siya ng Davao. Doon niya i-continue yung chemical engineering. Tapos sabi ko sa father ko na, parang gusto ko na rin ata bumalik. Sabi niya, hindi, panindigan mo yan. Okay. Kahit bagsak? Kahit bagsak. So, yun, pinanindigan ko. Pinatuloy ko yung second year until, at kasi at that time when you reach your second year, mas marami ka ng chemistry. At saka medyo alam mo na kung ano yung mga course, curriculum. May idea ka na talaga. Kasi when I got there, I really had no idea what chemical engineering is. Right? You just know that it's what people say that you should take. But what exactly is engineering and what does it mean to be a chemical engineer? I have no idea. We don't have those guidance counselors or career counselors that actually would explain or break it down for you.
Natapos mo yung chemical engineering mo?
Hindi.
Anong nangyari?
So, after second year, sabi ko na, ito na yung break point kasi at that time, the curriculum was a chemical engineering program is very similar to a PS chemistry program on the first 2 years. The only difference is that you have a little bit of this chemical engineering and engineering science subjects towards the final semesters of the second year and the first semesters of your third year. And that was really the fork, right? That separates the chemistry students from the chemical engineering students. And at that point, I had to decide, what do you actually want? Where do you where do you see yourself? And then that's how I realized that I think I like chemistry more. I think I understand the science more, but I don't think I'm really actually good with processes. Where that's what actually chemical engineering entails, right? And so after a year, I moved to the Institute of Chemistry, and that's how I started with pure chemistry.
Pure chemistry.
So it took me 5.5 years to actually finish it.
Okay.
I stayed in UP Diliman for 5.5 years.
So after nun, nag-proceed ka sa graduate studies?
No, not really. I actually for a year after getting the diploma, I actually became a software engineer.
You did?
Because I did not want to take the board exam.
Okay.
So I think sa Philippines, the only way na mas increase yung chances mo of getting a job, chemistry-related job, is kapag meron kang board exam, right? And so, ayokong kunin yung board exam. So, I became a programmer for a year and a half. Bago ako bumalik I decided, I think gusto ko talaga ng science. So, bumalik ako ng UP, naging RA ako sa NSRI. So, yun yung first. Which is actually also a shock kasi kung nanggaling ka sa industry, like, software engineering, babalik ka as a research assistant, ang laking pay cut nun.
Ano yung role mo nun nasa NRA? Sa NSRI?
So, I work as a RA, a University Research Assistant for Dr. Lenny Kirit. And the second year was in Dr. Irene Rodriguez. Lahat sila is environmental analytical chemistry. So it was more on developing methods to analyze certain markers on the environment. One was yung amount of acidic gases in ambient air that was under Ma'am Lenny Kirit. And then yung isa was detection ng ultra-trace levels ng arsenic sa groundwaters using mass spectrometry. Yun yung kay Dr. Irene Rodriguez. I think those were really short projects. Each project was just a year, under a year. But it really helped me a lot in terms of being able to go back to develop my lab skills and the writing skills. I actually had papers on those 2 years. One with Ma'am Lenny and one with Ma'am Rodriguez.
How did it feel na meron kang publication?
Oh, that was nice, right? Like yung makita mo yung pangalan mo in fine print. Ito yung pinaghirapan mo. Ganun, 3 pages lang.
3 pages lang, pero it's recognition kasi, di ba?
So yun kasi yun yung currency ng research, academic research. Is yung number of publications mo. Of course, that's on top of yung skills mo, kung ma-match pa yung skill sets. But so kasi yun talaga yung aim ng academe, di ba?
Yeah.
Yung scholarly work.
Yeah.
If it's not published, then it's... And by chance, napunta ako sa MSI.
Okay.
Totally unrelated
Yeah.
to what I'm doing. Kasi okay na ako sa analytical chemistry eh. Parang, galing ko na nung... gusto ko yung method development, yung gumagamit ako ng mga state-of-the-art instrumentation. Kasi at that time, yun yung first inductively coupled plasma ng mass spectrometer ng UPM.
Yeah.
So, ako yung unang gumamit talaga. Parang, wow! Tapos, so lumipat ako ng MSI just because wala nang projects for me sa Natural Science Research Institute. That's when or where I actually got into Dr. Gisela Concepcion's lab.
And then, nag-graduate studies ka na rin nun?
Yes.
Sa MSI?
Yes. No, actually, in graduate school ko, pumasok ako sa MS Chemistry program ng Institute of Chemistry while nasa MSI ako. It was really Gisela who was really pushing the RAs to actually do graduate school. And what she really wanted was to not to force, but to inspire everyone to go graduate school, to do graduate school, pursue higher education, and be an expert on something.
So, the way I see it, parang your story is just like, I suppose, like many other Filipino scientists. Kasi, okay, so I took this course, but after you graduate, you're still trying to find your way, di ba?
Exactly,
yes. And find your interest and so on and so forth. But at that point, correct me if I'm wrong, at that point, medyo nakikita mo na siguro yung gusto mong papuntahan, ano?
Yes. It was... Actually, medyo tumagal ako sa lab ni Ma'am Giselle. I was there for 5 years because there was a really nice program.
Yeah.
It's a US NIH-funded program.
Okay.
That program actually ran for 15 years.
Yeah.
It's a drug discovery bioprospecting program that the NIH was doing in several countries in the world. One was, among it was the Philippines, and there was some an ICBG in Panama and in Costa Rica and in Vietnam. So basically what they're doing is to survey biodiversity and to do a lot of bioprospecting for drug discovery. So, and that was yun yung foothold ng MSI because they were, basically MSI is the leader for marine science in the Philippines. Yeah. And Giselle was doing a lot of drug discovery programs from the marine world at that time. And so I, as a chemist, I started with my interest in environmental analytical chemistry, in improving or basically improving my skills on analytical chemistry and instrumentation, and I brought that to MSI to actually combine natural products chemistry with analytical chemistry to look for drugs. And that was, I think, a really good combination of fields and personally of skills. Kasi nagamit ko talaga yon for the applications, my applications for grad school and even up to now.
How did you come about yung PhD?
So, yung idea of doing a PhD abroad, it was already floating in my mind as soon as I went into Giselle's lab. Just because everyone was doing it.
Okay.
Every year, some RA leaves the lab for PhD studies abroad. So parang yun yung normal namin na pupuntahan, kumbaga. So, gusto ko pag nag-apply na ako ng PhD program abroad, dapat maganda na yung CV ko. Maganda yun. Meron kang bala. That's what. Kasi you're going to compete with a lot of people. Right?
Especially in the US.
Especially in the US and a lot, I think we are pitted against international students as well. So, China, India, and the rest of Europe, they all want to go to, a lot of these people want to go to US universities. So you have to really make sure na may bala ka.
Marami kang in-apply in universities?
I applied to 3 schools. just because yun yung free. And then you really have to be a little bit realistic. Right? I think this is an advice I would give everyone. Of course, I want to go to Harvard. I'm not gonna lie. Or I want to go to MIT. But we have to be realistic. For myself, I'm not telling you that you should not do it if you feel like you have it on your back pocket, a 1.0 GPA, summa cum laude or something like that. But I was not. I was just a normal UP student. Very pedestrian ang GPA ko, kumbaga. So I just had like one dream school and 3 safety schools. There's nothing in between.
So nakapasok ka eventually din sa isa sa tatlo?
I actually got into the dream school.
You did?
I did. I think it helped a lot that I had publications when I applied.
Yes, of course.
Gano'ng katagal yung PhD degree sa Vanderbilt?
So, ano yun parang ang program nun was a quantitative chemical biology program. And I think that was 5 years. And then the other programs na ni-applyan ko mostly were 5 as well. Isa lang dun yung 4. And then, so it was a hard blow. Because I was so close. Kunwento ko pa kay Giselle na, oh ma'am, I got into the second interview and the third interview. And I remember yung interview na yun would happen like 1 a.m. in the morning or 2 a.m. in the morning kasi it's on their time zones and it was a Skype. But it was a nice experience to actually undergo to these things. Para lang, you'd know what happens or what the process is like.
So nakuha mo yung master's mo sa Diliman and then nakuha mo yung PhD mo sa US. I'm sure may time na kino-compare mo yung pag-aaral mo between sa Philippines at saka sa US.
Yes.
Ano yung masasabi mo about yung differences between?
Okay. That's a really nice question, Ian. Kasi, yun nga, meron akong experiences on graduate studies in different countries.
Yeah.
And but one thing na talagang nakita ko yung glaring or stark differences is that on the way the curriculums are designed. And I think in the Philippines, masyado tayong focus on subjects. The master's program that I had in UP Diliman was really not overloaded, but it was course-centric. I would say. We had to take every single field of chemistry, inorganic, biochemistry, analytical chemistry, every aspect of chemistry. But in the US or maybe in Europe as well, they would actually focus on one type of field and they would specialize, I think, which is really important because that's exactly how science is done. You just have to be specializing in one area. You don't have to be an expert in everything. You can be knowledgeable, but if you can be knowledgeable in many different aspects, but it's really good that you are an expert on this narrow field. One thing that's really good about it is that science is really a collaborative effort. When you make experiments or you do embark yourself on scientific projects, it's often that there are people with different backgrounds trying to solve the same problem. And that's how things are done. And I think it's really important that I hope things are changing in the Philippines in a way that we're trying to design these programs according to this, that reflects the kind of scientific work that we are practicing in the present. On the other hand, it's actually really nice to do graduate school in the Philippines. It's because one, the academic rigor is there. When I got into the US, I was really, you have this anxiety, right? Oh, US na to, mahirap to, ganyan, mas advanced sila. But then when you get there, I felt that the academic training that I had in UP and the rigor, the scholarly rigor that UP has imparted me has prepared me well to be actually fit or to match the kind of scientific rigor or academic rigor that these universities are doing in the US.
Yeah, I think that's good to know, no? Especially for our students na interesadong mag-graduate studies. They would be able to understand kung saan nila gustong mag-aral, kung gusto nila sa Pilipinas, kung gusto nila abroad, diba? That's really good advice. Ngayon pag-usapan natin yung nangyari sa'yo after yung PhD. So after you graduate ng PhD, ano na yung ano na yung naging career?
So I was eventually I landed in Utah. I took the PhD there. It's another 5-year program. It was really nice because I knew the people in terms of who I'm gonna be working with, and it's in many aspects it's really related to what I was doing in Giselle's lab. It's really on natural products chemistry. So I had a really great time in that lab. Of course, a lot of hardships, graduate student. And then I was there for 6 years on a 5-year program. Laging may pasobra talaga. Ayaw umalis. And then when it was time to leave the lab and to, I decided I want to do a postdoc. And it was really also another good timing because Helena Safavi, who knew me, asked me if I wanted to join her lab, and it was really something that I also really wanted. Helena's lab moved to Copenhagen here in Denmark, and I was in Utah, and eventually I left Utah for Denmark, and I moved to Europe for a postdoc, and which was, I think, I did it in a really challenging time during Corona, because basically there was no science happening. Most of the time we're at home, and I really need to do a lot of. The kind of science that I do is based on wet lab. Although I know dry lab in the form of bioinformatics, but we really needed. I'm really, I think, more comfortable with wet lab work. So there's that.
So, what can you tell us about your research ng PhD mo?
So yung PhD research ko is really about drug discovery in the marine world. They're called marine. The field is called Marine Natural Products Chemistry. Basically, yun yung ginagawa namin sa lab ni Ma'am Giselle, where I was in MSI in the Philippines, and I extended that when I got into the US at the University of Utah. And for the next 6 years, I was doing a lot of things, but they're in the context of this more or less the same idea of trying to figure out what are the potentially therapeutic molecules and molecules that we can get from the marine environment. So they come from microbes, because these microbes are generally really well in doing a lot of producing a lot of small molecules that we actually use today for a lot of various purposes, especially therapeutic ones, as well as from the classical training ng marine natural products, wherein you have to isolate, purify, and identify the compound. Medyo nagbago na kasi siya from those 6 years na nag-PhD ako, in a sense that biology has slowly integrated itself into this field. It's not just chemistry in a way that we could read through the genes, we could the field is called molecular biology. We can read in the genes, we can edit the genes, and we could write these genes. And so back in the day, yung marine natural products chemistry really was about collecting these specimens, samples, animals, sediments, marine bacteria in the wild. Tapos dadalhin mo sa lab, tapos hahanapin mo doon yung molecule na or yung mga compounds na gusto mong hanapin. But the consequence of that is that kailangan mo ng marami para meron kang enough sample to test them kung ano man yung gusto mong biological testing na mangyayari. But now, with the introduction of molecular biology, kukunti na lang yung sample na kukunin mo. Because we can now sequence the genome, metagenome, or transcriptomes of these specimens, be it an animal or a microbe. And from there, we could actually access the genomes and find the biosynthetic pathways, which is actually just a series of proteins, which we call enzymes, that actually make these drug-like molecules that we are interested in. We can package them in pathways, do a lot of genetic engineering, put them in bacteria that we know that we can manipulate in the lab, like an E. coli or another microbe like yeast, and allow these microbes, engineered microbes, to actually produce what we are trying to hunt and find in the marine world.
So, Josh, what advice can you give to our viewers who are high school students, college students, diba, who are interested in doing science?
I always get asked about these questions, kung ano yung advice na mabibigay mo, especially to those young Filipino minds na a little bit hesitant kung gusto ba nilang mag-proceed towards a STEM pathway or not. And I think in my experience, a lot of talking to these young Filipinos, a lot of them are really hesitant for a number of reasons, especially that most especially is that they think na kailangan sobrang matalino ka para maging scientist. You need to be the class valedictorian. You need to be, magna cum laude. You need to be summa cum laude to get into these programs in the Philippines or graduate programs in the US to be able to do actually world-class science. I think there's a lot of pressure for them, and that actually makes them shy away from taking this path. But then there's me, right? Who never had Latin honors, na-delay nung college, na-delay pa din nung PhD program, but I turned out to be fine. And I always tell them that, while it's actually really good, if you have these qualities, straight A student, being a straight A student, this honors, this awards, while it's actually helpful, it's not a be-all and all thing. You can also fail classes like I did. And a lot of this is actually good training for a person, because in the real world, there's going to be a lot of failures in science. Alam mo yan, Ian, when you're doing experiments. It's not always going to work the first time. You have to do it 99 times. And on the 99th time, only 50% of it will work. So what I'm trying to say is that you're gonna fail a lot of times in science. And I think ganun din yun siya, similar siya on the way you take this career path. It's okay for you to, fail your exams, do not so well on this particular subject, as long as you actually continue. And so, to sum it up, my advice is, okay lang yan. Hindi ka lang maging perfect. Because, at saka kailangan mo yan. It prepares you for the mental, emotional stamina that you need when you do science in real life.
Yeah. I think it was Albert Einstein who said science is 1% inspiration and 99% work, diba? And base sa narinig natin ngayong araw from your experiences, it's your testimony to
Yes.
diba? Kasi I mean, you started with a path na sabi mo kanina hindi mo pa naintindihan kung saan mo gustong pumunta, and then eventually you figured out your path. But even as you went through your path, ang dami pa rin mga struggles.
Exactly. It's not always linear.
Yeah.
In the ideal world, it's gonna be linear, right? But then you go into this twists and turns and challenges in life. So it's gonna be okay. As long as what matters is that you actually continue.
Yeah.
You head on.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Josh, for your time.
Well, you're welcome.
I'm sure na merong makukuhang Eureka Moment
Oh, I hope so.
yung mga viewers.
Yeah.
So,
And, I'm always open for any student who would like to ask about science or how to prepare themselves for graduate applications. I have a Twitter if you wanted to follow me, and I could, if you could share them my email, that would be okay. Because I've done this in the past where helping young Filipinos navigate through graduate programs.
yeah. I'm gonna put it somewhere here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Today, narinig natin yung kwento ni Joshua. Sana meron kayong napulot sa kanyang kwento at mapagkukunan ng inspirasyon para magpatuloy din kayo sa career ninyo, future careers ninyo sa science. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.